this came at me out of the blue. I had fixed myself a bacon and tomato sandwich for my supper tonight, and I'd also fixed one for dinner earlier because I had picked up a big, beautiful, fat tomato last time I went over to the Dutch at Lewisburg, Missouri. And, I don't want my wonderful tomato to go to waste, so, of course, I'm going to try to use it. And I have it on ID, of course, in the other room, where it's at most of the time. Might as well say I live there. Totally unrelated to what was on the show. Totally. There wasn't any trigger at all. And unless it was subliminal, who knows. But as far as I know, my ears and eyes did not pick up that kind of trigger or cue. So anyway, it was when my mom had to go pick up my dad at a hospital in Columbia after Dad had to have a surgery, and I forgot if it was an eye surgery or heart. I'm thinking it was heart because most of the eye surgeries these days are in-office procedures, and they are quick. Not like when my grandma back in the 70s got cataracts removed and saved them for me in a little bag with solution and brought them to me because I wanted them. She was in there, a number of days, but I remember Dad getting eye surgery now, and they were all in-office procedures, and, no hospital stay required for that anymore. So, my guess is that it was a heart surgery. Or it could have been prostate, too, I just really forget, but Mom had called over to the house, and, said, do you think, John's daughter, she called her by name, would like to ride up to Columbia with me to pick up your dad? And I asked her, and yeah, she wanted to go. So she said, okay, get ready, I'll be over there in about 10 minutes. I'll honk the horn. And, okay. So they got up there okay and got Dad. And Mom probably took him some pop, knowing her. She would, instead of buying sodas out on the road, would have just taken, 2 or 3 for them in the car. So much less expensive that way. So she said the trip up there was totally fine, no problem. But when she started to load Dad in the vehicle, the daughter got mad because he was getting the front seat. She said, I never seen anyone act out the way that she acted out, because Andy was going to get the seat that she had ridden up in, and she had to ride home in the back. And Mom said she explained it to her that because he had just had surgery, that he would be a little more comfortable with a little more leg room, and she would be fine back there. It wasn't anything against her. It was just they had been apart for, several days, and he just maybe needed to ride in the front, Totally not against her, just the way it was. Well, later, Dad mentioned that all the way home, after that little fit she threw, he could feel her staring at him in the back of his head all the way back home. He could feel hate from her just because he ended up in the seat that she wanted to be in. Do you get what I'm saying? That person had some issues. And chances are, just like Mom had said before, when I called her that night, that she had tried to push me down the stairs and I was going to turn her in. Believe me, the best thing right then to do is to get that kind of thing documented. Don't let it slide. Document it somehow. Because later you may need it. Seriously, I could have used that, I'm sure. Because I think everyone pretty much got in their head that she was just some overrun angel in her little world, when she really wasn't. She did a lot of damage, and it would probably be years before we could get this damage taken care of or soothed out or ended or whatever, mended. So, but he did, he said, I could feel her hating arrows into the back of my head with her eyes. Well, that's kind of scary, isn't it? Old guy had just gotten out of the hospital, released from the hospital, was going to go home, and Mom did mention that he'd probably need, 2 or 3 days to recuperate after that, and to not call him asking him for stuff, because he would probably be bounding out of that house just to get out of there after being in a hospital stay, So I said, oh yeah, I know, okay, no problem. I won't ask him to come mow the grass, or any kind of thing like that. And she said, okay, well, just so you realize, that was a pretty important surgery. So, but I mean, can you imagine? You've been in the hospital, away from your family for a length of time, and you've got someone who simply does not understand or doesn't wish to put their needs before anyone else, or doesn't want to put anyone else's needs before their own. Totally, totally selfish and self-centered. And just really not caring at all, except for what they want. And that's how we lived. I kind of relate it to the old game King of the Hill. Do you remember that? Well, I'm the survivor of that nightmarish place. Everyone else out of there. I was the last dog to die, so to speak, in that house. A saying my dad taught me, by the way. The last dog to die. Isn't that kind of spooky? I know. So anyway, that was what was on my mind while I was trying to just be and watch a little TV after I ate my dinner. Thanks for listening.